Hogan's Heroes, 1965 to 1971, stood out as a bold and unexpected blend of comedy and wartime satire, a sitcom set in a German POW camp that somehow found humor in the unlikeliest of places. With its sharp writing, unforgettable characters, and a cast full of charm and talent, the show became a cult favorite that still holds a unique place in television history. But beyond the laughs and clever schemes, the real-life stories of the cast carry a far more somber tone. Over the years, many of the show's stars have sadly passed away, some under tragic or even mysterious circumstances. In this poignant tribute, we remember the lives, legacies, and often heartbreaking fates of the actors who made Hogan's Heroes such an enduring classic. Bob Crane, who played the clever and charismatic Colonel Hogan, was 36 years old when he took on the role of the ingenious American officer constantly outwitting the Nazis. With a magnetic screen presence and natural comedic timing, Crane became the face of Hogan's Heroes. However, his life outside the spotlight was shrouded in darkness. Married to Ann Terzian in 1949, with whom he had 3 children, Robert Scott, Karen Leslie, and Deborah, and the marriage ended in divorce due to his increasingly obsessive behavior. His second marriage to Sigrid Valdis, who also appeared on the show, brought a daughter, Anna Marie, but it too was riddled with distrust, largely stemming from Crane's addiction to pornography and chronic womanizing. Post-Hogan's Heroes, his career faltered, reduced to dinner theater roles. Tragically, he was found bludgeoned to death in 1978 in a Scottsdale apartment, a case that remains technically unsolved. He was 49. Despite the grim headlines, Crane left behind a mixed legacy, one of talent, scandal, and unanswered questions. At the time of his death, his estate was modest, valued at around $300,000, much of it tied up in unsettled legal and personal matters. Werner Klemperer, who portrayed the proud yet hapless Colonel Klink, brought both menace and comedy to the bumbling Nazi officer role. At 45 when Hogan's Heroes began, Klemperer's dignified, baritone presence masked a complex inner world. A German Jew who fled Nazi Germany with his family, he reluctantly accepted the role but demanded Klink never succeed against the Allied POWs. His personal life bore emotional wounds. His first marriage to opera singer Johanna Geisler ended in divorce, and he had no children, reportedly regretting the solitude later in life. After the show ended, he struggled with typecasting and turned to stage work and voice acting. A quiet man who loved classical music, he remarried in 1997 to actress Kim Hamilton, a rare bright spot in his otherwise lonesome later years. Klemperer died of cancer in 2000 at the age of 80. Though respected for his artistic integrity, he spent his final years battling depression and feelings of irrelevance. His estate was estimated at $1.5 million, much of it placed in a trust for musical and theatrical causes he quietly supported. John Banner, the warm-hearted actor who immortalized the phrase, "I know nothing," as the lovable and clueless Sergeant Schultz, was 55 when Hogan's Heroes began. An Austrian Jew who escaped the Holocaust, Banner poured his gratitude into playing a Nazi guard who defied cruelty with charm. Off-screen, Banner's personal life was quiet yet tinged with sadness. Married once to actress Christine Guelph, the couple never had children, partly due to his fears of bringing new life into a world that had taken so much from him. He battled lifelong survivor's guilt, haunted by the fate of family members left behind in Europe. After the show ended, he was never able to reclaim the spotlight, instead appearing sporadically in minor roles. Health issues plagued him in his final years, including heart complications and diabetes. He died suddenly in 1973 from an abdominal hemorrhage while visiting Vienna. He was 63. Though his roles brought laughter, Banner's life was tinged with the pain of exile, loss, and unfulfilled dreams. At his passing, his assets were modest, valued at around $250,000, mostly invested in retirement savings and family bequests. Richard Dawson, who portrayed the quick-witted and resourceful Corporal Newkirk, was just 32 when he joined the ensemble of Hogan's Heroes. His British charm, Cockney accent, and sharp timing made him a fan favorite. Behind the charm, however, was a deeply conflicted man. Married to actress Diana Dors, their marriage was turbulent, marred by infidelity and fierce arguments, ending in divorce in 1967. They had 2 sons, Mark and Gary, though Dawson's relationship with them was distant for years. After the show ended, Dawson reinvented himself as the host of Family Feud, where his flirtatious on-air kisses sparked both acclaim and criticism. He later married Gretchen Johnson, a contestant on the show, and they had a daughter, Shannon. Despite his success, Dawson suffered from growing anxiety and eventually withdrew from the public eye. Diagnosed with esophageal cancer in 2011, he died in 2012 at the age of 79. His career arc, from sitcom sidekick to beloved game show host, was filled with highs and valleys. At the time of his death, his estate was worth an estimated $5 million, primarily from television royalties and real estate investments. Larry Hovis, best remembered as the energetic and inventive Sergeant Carter, was 29 when Hogan's Heroes launched him to fame. Trained as a singer and writer before acting, his upbeat character masked an inner melancholy. Married to Ann Corrigan, the couple had 4 children, Michael, Lisa, Catherine, and David, but the marriage strained under Hovis's frequent absences and growing disillusionment with Hollywood. The marriage ended quietly in the late 1970s, and although he remained close to his children, he never remarried. Post-Hogan's Heroes, his career declined sharply. Typecast and overlooked, he turned to teaching theater in Texas, where students admired his dedication even as he fought private battles with depression and regret. Diagnosed with esophageal cancer, he died in 2003 at age 67. Hovis's final years were marked by a yearning to be remembered not just as Carter, but as a serious artist and teacher. His estate, valued at approximately $800,000, included royalties and savings, much of which was left to fund scholarships for young actors, a final gesture from a man whose talent outlived his fame. Ivan Dixon, who portrayed the calm, tech-savvy Sergeant Kinchloe in Hogan's Heroes, was 34 when he brought a steady, intelligent presence to the show's cast. As the communications expert and second-in-command, his quiet strength balanced the antics around him. After the series ended, Dixon struggled to find roles that matched the dignity of Kinchloe, often being typecast or overlooked in a racially biased Hollywood. He turned to directing, finding moderate success, though it never brought the acclaim he desired. Dixon married Burley Ray Dixon, with whom he had 4 children, but their relationship endured heavy strain due to his long absences and professional frustrations. Their later years together were marked by emotional distance, and one of their sons tragically died in his 30s from substance abuse, a loss that deeply haunted Ivan. He also suffered from feelings of isolation, disillusionment with Hollywood's treatment of black actors, and health issues including kidney failure in his final years. Dixon passed away in 2008 at the age of 76 from complications related to a long battle with chronic illness. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated at $500,000, a modest sum reflecting a career full of both promise and pain. Leon Eskin, who played the stern and commanding General Burkhalter, was already 58 when he joined Hogan's Heroes. A towering presence with a thick Austrian accent, Askin's portrayal of the irritable, by-the-book general became one of the show's most recognizable performances. Behind his gruff exterior was a man who had fled Nazi persecution in real life, having lost both parents in a concentration camp, a trauma he carried silently. After the series ended, Eskin returned to Europe, working in theater and film but never quite matching the fame he earned from the series. He never married and had no children, admitting in interviews late in life that he felt unsuited for domesticity and feared passing on emotional scars from his war-torn youth. He battled depression and long bouts of loneliness, especially in his final decade. Though publicly jovial, his diaries revealed feelings of guilt and survivor's remorse. Leon Eskin died in 2005 at the age of 97 in Vienna. His estimated estate was valued at around $1.5 million, accumulated largely through careful savings and residuals, though he lived modestly in his final years in a small apartment filled with books and photographs of lost family. Howard Kane, who memorably embodied the intense and suspicious Major Hochstetter, joined the cast of Hogan's Heroes in his early 40s. Known for his shouting of, "Who is this man?" and volatile energy, Kane brought a dark humor to the Gestapo character. Off-screen, Kane was gentle and introspective, deeply devoted to Jewish heritage and a skilled musician. He married musician Victoria Kane, and they had 2 sons, Daniel and Mark, but the marriage collapsed in the early 1980s due to his struggles with alcohol and obsessive perfectionism. Following the end of Hogan's Heroes, Kane's career waned, and he found himself doing voice work and small theater roles, frustrated by Hollywood's unwillingness to see past his villainous typecasting. He was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in the late 1980s, which slowly robbed him of his ability to perform. He grew reclusive, rarely seen in public during his final years. Kane passed away in 1993 at age 67 from a heart attack exacerbated by years of health complications. His estate was valued at approximately $300,000, with most of it left to his sons, though he died alone and largely forgotten by the industry he once helped entertain. Kathleen Freeman, who played the loud and comical Frau Linkmeyer, the overbearing sister of General Burkhalter, was 42 when she first appeared on Hogan's Heroes. Known for her booming voice and hilarious facial expressions, she was a veteran of over 100 films, but rarely got leading roles. Behind the laughter, Freeman endured a lonely life, privately navigating her identity in an industry hostile to openly queer performers. She never married and lived with a close female companion, Helen Ramsey, for over 30 years, though she never publicly acknowledged their relationship. She longed for children but never had any, and often described her dogs as her family. After Hogan's Heroes, Freeman remained active in film and stage, but her comic talent was often underutilized. She suffered from chronic arthritis and had several surgeries, forcing her off stage in the late 90s. Diagnosed with lung cancer in 2001, she continued to work until weeks before her death. She passed away at age 82 the same year, surrounded by a few close friends. Her estate was valued at approximately $400,000, much of which was quietly donated to LGBT charities and animal shelters posthumously. Bernard Fox, who played the pompous and delightfully inept Colonel Crittenden, was 38 when he took on the role of the bumbling British officer who often caused more trouble than he solved. With a thick accent and a flair for comedy, Fox became a fan favorite. Though his career included roles in Titanic, The Mummy, and Bewitched, he was forever associated with Crittenden. Off-camera, his life was filled with ups and downs. He married Jacqueline Fox, a dancer he met in London, and they had 2 children, Amanda and Nicholas, but his frequent travel and film work led to long separations and emotional distance from his family. Though they never divorced, they lived apart for the last decade of his life. Fox became increasingly frustrated by being typecast in comedic or military roles and faced a painful decline in offers as he aged. In later years, he developed dementia, which made public appearances difficult. He passed away in 2016 at the age of 89 due to heart failure. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated at $1.2 million, most of it left to his children, though much of his final years were spent in quiet seclusion, far from the bright lights of his earlier fame. Sigrid Valdis, who portrayed Hilda, the loyal and charming secretary to Colonel Klink, brought a subtle elegance and wit to Hogan's Heroes. Born Patricia Olson, she was 36 when she joined the cast and quickly became a fan favorite for her flirtatious interactions with Bob Crane's Colonel Hogan. Off-screen, her life was entangled with tragedy and heartbreak. She married Bob Crane in 1970 after his divorce, and they had 1 child together, a son named Robert Scott Crane. The marriage was passionate but tumultuous, often strained by Crane's alleged infidelities and rumored secret lifestyle. After Crane's shocking and unsolved murder in 1978, Sigrid retreated from the public eye, battling deep depression and anxiety. She eventually remarried but divorced quietly in the mid-1980s, living in near seclusion with limited contact with Hollywood. Her relationship with her children, especially Scott, became strained over the years. Financial instability also plagued her late life, and her estate at the time of her death in 2007 was modest, estimated at around $150,000. She died from lung cancer at the age of 72, having spent her final years in a small apartment in Anaheim, largely forgotten by the industry she once lit up. Gavin MacLeod, who made a brief but memorable guest appearance as General Metzger, was best known for other iconic roles, but his time on Hogan's Heroes revealed his flair for dramatic gravitas, even in a comedic setting. He was 34 at the time and already establishing a solid career, but behind the scenes, MacLeod battled inner demons. He struggled with alcoholism for years, which strained his first marriage to Joan Rutvick, with whom he had 4 children: Keith, David, Megan, and Stephanie. Their relationship ended in divorce in 1972, and although he remarried Patty Kendig, they also divorced in 1982 before reconciling and remarrying in 1985. Gavin's later years were spent as a born-again Christian and motivational speaker, but shadows of his past never left him entirely. 2 of his children became estranged, and he reportedly mourned the disconnection deeply. His career slowed in the 1990s, leading to financial strain, though he eventually stabilized his income through faith-based tours. He passed away in 2021 at the age of 90 due to undisclosed causes, though age-related decline was noted. His estate was valued at approximately $1.5 million, largely accumulated from residuals and appearances, far less than what he once commanded during his television peak. Henry Corden, who played a variety of guest roles on Hogan's Heroes, was a seasoned character actor best known later as the voice of Fred Flintstone. On set, he was animated and energetic, often bringing humor to even minor roles. Corden was 49 when he appeared on the show, and by then had experienced a career of highs and lows. Behind the cheerful persona, however, lay a lifetime of heartache. Married 3 times, he suffered through 2 bitter divorces, one with his second wife, actress Marie Carr, whom he had 2 daughters with, Lisa and Carla. Custody battles and financial struggles plagued him through much of the 1970s. His third marriage brought more stability, but the damage to his relationship with his daughters remained, with Lisa publicly criticizing him in later years. Health issues began in the 1990s, including a severe stroke in 2000 that left him partially incapacitated. Despite continued voice work, including commercial gigs, he struggled with depression and felt largely forgotten by Hollywood. He died of emphysema in 2005 at age 85, with a net worth of roughly $800,000, much of it left in trust for his grandchildren. Corden's legacy lived on in animation, but his personal life remained largely marked by solitude and regret. Kenneth Washington, who portrayed Sergeant Richard Baker, brought a steady and grounded presence to the final season of Hogan's Heroes. Born in 1946, Washington joined the series at 23, becoming one of the few African-American actors in a regular role on a major network comedy at the time. His performance was understated yet impactful, portraying intelligence and calm amidst the chaos. However, after Hogan's Heroes ended, Washington struggled to find consistent work in an industry that offered few roles to black actors not based on stereotype. He turned to stage work and voiceovers but never regained the national attention he once had. He married his college sweetheart, Denise Hall, but the union ended in divorce in the early 1980s after years of reported infidelity and long separations. They had 2 children, Marcus and Angela, though Washington remained emotionally distant, and both children have spoken about feeling abandoned. Later in life, he remarried a teacher named Carla Mason, with whom he found more peace, though they lived quietly and without much wealth. Now 79, Washington lives in modest circumstances in Southern California. His estimated net worth is under $100,000, and he rarely makes public appearances. His legacy, though overlooked by Hollywood, remains quietly significant as a trailblazer for black actors in TV comedy. Which character from Hogan's Heroes, TV series 1965 to 1971, holds a special place in your heart? How does it make you feel knowing that some of the beloved cast members are no longer with us? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments below. If you've been enjoying this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching.